There are 30 teams in this league, and there might not be a spot on our team.
Every basketball fan knows the names: Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. These are the gods of the hardwood. But in the shadows of basketball history, there is a name that sends chills down the spines of those old enough to remember. A man who was called the greatest scorer to ever pick up a ball. A man who supposedly made Michael Jordan look like an amateur. Imagine a player who scored 73 points in a college game without a three-point line. A player who walked into an NBA training camp as a rookie and humiliated every veteran on the court. But today, he has no highlights on ESPN, no jersey in the rafters. He is a ghost. This isn't just a story about basketball. It's a story of pride, a broken system, and a secret blacklist that robbed the world of a legend. Today, we go inside the tragic, mysterious life of the man who was too good for the NBA, Raymond Lewis. To understand the legend, you have to go back to Watts, California. In the early 70s, the playgrounds were the ultimate proving ground. If you could survive the courts of LA, you could survive anywhere. And Raymond Lewis didn't just survive, he dominated. He led Verbum Day to 3 straight CIF titles. Scouts weren't just watching him, they were worshiping him. He eventually chose Cal State Los Angeles, and that's where the legend of the Ghost truly began. In his sophomore year against UC Santa Barbara, Raymond Lewis did the unthinkable. He scored 73 points. Remember, there was no three-point line. He was shooting from the parking lot and finishing through contact. Jerry West, the logo himself, once said Raymond Lewis was the best young guard he had ever seen. He was a 6'1" assassin with a 36-inch vertical and a jump shot that never missed. In 1973, the Philadelphia 76ers were the worst team in NBA history. They had just finished 9-73. 9 wins, 73 losses. They weren't just bad, they were historically broken. They needed more than a good player. They needed a miracle. They chose Raymond Lewis as the 18th overall pick, a 20-year-old kid from Watts who had never once doubted himself. From the moment he walked into that locker room, the veterans could feel it. Something was different about this rookie. The coaches set up a standard training camp scrimmage. Rookies versus veterans. It was supposed to be a welcome to the NBA moment for the young guys, a reminder of who ran this league. That's not what happened. From the very first possession, Raymond Lewis was in a different gear. Crossovers that veterans couldn't read. Pull-up jumpers that kissed nothing but net. By the end of the first half, the veterans weren't just losing, they were confused. They had never seen someone move like this. Think about that. These are professional NBA players who have seen everything. And they were standing there, watching this 20-year-old kid make them look like they belonged on a high school JV team. Eyewitnesses, coaches, scouts, people who were in that gym that day would later say that Raymond reportedly scored somewhere around 60 points before anyone stopped counting. Not in a real game, in a scrimmage, against NBA players. The fans who had been watching in the stands were chanting his name. The veterans went silent, and the coaches looked at each other, not with excitement, but with something else entirely. Discomfort. Because in that moment, everyone in that gym realized the same thing. Raymond Lewis wasn't the future of the 76ers. He was better than everyone they already had. And that was a problem. After that scrimmage, Raymond Lewis knew his value. He knew he was the best player on the team, so he asked for more money. He wanted his contract restructured to match his talent. But in 1973, rookies didn't have power. The 76ers management saw a young, confident black man demanding his worth, and they labeled him difficult. A dispute broke out. Raymond walked out of camp, believing another team would jump at the chance to sign him. He was wrong. Very wrong. The NBA back then was a small fraternity of owners. Word spread fast. Raymond Lewis was marked. No team would touch him.
Here's what I always say to guys. There are 30 teams in this league, and there might not be a spot on our team.
For years, he would show up at tryouts, dominate everyone on the floor, and then he'd get a call a few days later saying, "Sorry, we don't have a spot for you." He was being evaluated every single time, and every single time, the answer was the same.
Find a spot, but the biggest thing is you give guys opportunities, and then you hope that they get something out of that.
For the next 2 decades, Raymond Lewis became something the basketball world had never quite seen. A living legend who no one would hire. He became a myth, a rumor, the man you heard about from someone who knew someone who saw him play. But here is what makes his story different from the others. Raymond never sat down. He never gave up. Every single summer, you could find him on the Drew League courts in Los Angeles, still lacing up, still going to work. NBA All-Stars would show up during the offseason to get their reps in. And Raymond Lewis, a man with no contract and no team, would cook them. 50 points, some say more. The crowd would grow by word of mouth. People would rush to the courts just to watch him. And every time, you could see it in his eyes. He still believed he belonged in the league. Think about what that does to a man's soul. To know without any doubt that you are good enough. To prove it again and again, year after year, on any court against anyone. And still have the phone never ring. Still have the doors stay closed. That is a different kind of pain. Not the pain of failure, the pain of being erased. Raymond Lewis spent his 30s and 40s still chasing the dream on the blacktop. The same skills, the same fire, just older and without the spotlight the world had stolen from him. In 2001, at the age of 48, Raymond Lewis passed away. The cause was complications from a leg infection. He died without ever playing a single minute in a professional NBA game. Not 1 second. The 18th overall pick of the 1973 NBA draft. One of the most gifted scorers the game has ever seen. Gone. Quietly. Without a trophy. Without a ceremony. Without the world ever truly knowing his name.
And he's frustrated, there's no question. He's frustrated, and I think he wears that. You can see it very easily, and I've talked to him about it. You can't wear that frustration.
History is written by the winners. We remember the rings, the trophies, the celebrations. But sometimes the greatest stories are the ones that never got the chance to be told. Raymond Lewis was a king without a crown, a legend without a league, a man who played his entire life for a stage that was always just out of reach. So the next time you sit down to argue about who the GOAT really is, remember the ghost of Watts. Because in a different world, in a fairer world, Michael Jordan might have been the one chasing him. What do you think? Did the NBA blacklist Raymond Lewis, or did his own pride cost him everything? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear where you stand. And if you want more untold NBA history like this, hit subscribe for NBA Net Kings. We'll see you in the next one.